Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So in today's episode, I'm going to do something that I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time, and that is finally getting what's left of our rear quarters out of here and test fitting our brand new AMD rear quarter panels. So these just came in a few weeks ago. Been waiting a while for these. You may right off the bat notice these are meant for a 69. So one subtle difference between 68 and 6970, and that is the turn signal. So this, you can see circular. This means 68. 69 is going to have a rectangular turn signal in the back. So what we'll do, we'll just go ahead, we'll fill that and eventually drill out our circular hole at a later date. So we're going to get started today. We're going to get this wheelhouse out of here, because if you remember back, that's just screwed into place. We'll free up some space there. We're going to get our window tracks off, get some trim out of the way. We've still got our tail panel just clamped up here from the last episode, so that's pretty much ready to go. We'll be able to test fit this new rear quarter once we get it in. But aside from that, we're just going to slowly work our way all the way around this panel and dissect this off the car. Don't want to cut too deep, don't want to replace any more sheet metal than we already have to, but still a whole lot of work to do. Very big job. I'll just start off by saying I've never done a Charger rear quarter before, so this will be a learning experience for me. Probably in the same position as a lot of you guys out there that might be doing this for your first time. So what I'm hoping is that I'm going to explain this in as much detail as I possibly can for you guys, so that way when you go to do this, you'll have a little bit better understanding of how to attack it and how to address it. You may also see me make a lot of mistakes in this video, because I'm going to be figuring it out as I go. So learn from my mistakes so you don't have to make your own, and I'm sure it'll turn out great in the end. But let's get this rear quarter unboxed here. I'm dying to see what it looks like. I've not opened the box yet. To be honest with you, the freight company kind of scared me a little bit with the way that it was packaged. So let's open this up. Let's make sure there's nothing too crazy inside of here. And it'll also help us out by understanding kind of where exactly we need to go in and start burning out the lead. It'll also let me know, how far down it goes over and around the sail panel. So that way we can kind of cut up to that point and slowly work our way up to the panel transition. So let's get this box opened up and check it out. All right, guys, so I'm going to sum up the condition of this panel in 3 words. Holy crap. It is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. There's not a single ding, dent, scratch, anything. There's some fingerprints there, but those are for me because I couldn't keep my damn hands off of it. This quarter panel is in beautiful, beautiful condition. There's a reason why these panels cost so much damn money. There's a lot of tooling, a lot of engineering that's involved, and making parts this good and fit that good. And not to mention, this panel from end to end is over 7 feet long. That's enormous. That's why freight costs so damn much, because these parts are so huge on these Chargers. Now when we look here, we've got a nice flange here on the inside of where our door seam is. Here on our lower sail panel, you can see this section here, which is already flanged down to fit up underneath of our roof skin. If we look here at the bottom, where the flanges and our windows, you guys can see that there. That's good to know there. It's also really good to see how much of the sail panel is actually included in this, which is basically the entire thing. I was wondering that because I've seen people patch a lot of sail panels. I also know there's some rear quarters that come without the inside sections. So it's good to see that this entire thing is part of that quarter panel. So that's really, really good. And again, our window channel is part of the quarter too, so did not know that going in. So I'm glad I stocked up on grinding wheels and drill bits. Definitely going to need a lot of both with this. So we'll start off, get our tracks out, wheelhouse out. Still got a little bit left to take out here with our upper armrest guard, or pad up here on the top of the window, excuse me. And yeah, let's start opening this bad boy up. Let's get to work. All right, so those of you guys that have been following the channel for a while can probably remember back to when we temporarily installed these wheelhouses, knowing that this opportunity would come eventually to have to do these. So you can see, it doesn't take much to pull the panels back off. Yours will not come out that easy, I promise you. All right guys, so one of the first things that I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna pull off the door striker here, just because I need to make sure that my door is fitting perfectly with the existing quarter panel, so that way when I go to install it, I can make sure that these body lines perfectly line up. And the reason I do this is because if I'm going to be opening, closing the door a whole bunch here, I really don't want to have to slam the door over and over and over and over with metal that I'm test fitting on the car. So this makes it a whole lot easier just to make sure that those lines match up. So as you guys can see, that's a very, very close fit there overall. So we've got good clearance here on the bottom of our rockers, and then also just making sure that these lines here match up. Now we can still tweak the door quite a bit when it's in position, but all your body lines really start here at your back fenders. You set the doors, and then you set your fenders, and then you end up setting the hood as well on top of that. So overall, I'm very, very pleased with that fitment of the door. And now I can open and close it, no problem, without having to slam the door every time. All right, guys, so we are ready to do some cutting. Now, as you saw, we got all of our lead seam burned out. We can see here some of those spot welds originally, so we're gonna go ahead and we'll drill all those out. But first, what I'd like to do is get the critical mass of this quarter just completely out of the way. Now, where the jamb is right here, this piece right here on the actual door jamb is perfectly straight, and then the quarter itself has this 90 laps over the top of that, and then it's gonna be spot welded here all along that. So what I want to do now, I'm going to leave this line where it's at. I'm going to take this line all the way up to the top. Now, one thing I find interesting actually is that this top seam isn't hooked to anything at all. It's just completely in open air. I thought that I'd have to actually go through here and drill out some original spot welds, but no, that's not the case whatsoever. It's just kind of sitting out here in the wide open. So that's great. But we'll go ahead, we'll cut this down. So that way we can expose this entire thing. I'm gonna cut short on this lead seam here. We can't go very deep because there's some supporting structure right behind this. So we're just gonna cut this a little bit short here. I'm gonna cut right down the top of the seam here on our sail panel. And then I'm probably just gonna follow that line down here through the bottom just to get it out of the way so I can have a little bit better access and actually see what's going on underneath. Reason being is that there's some support pieces down here. There's this bracket, we've got this bracket right here. You know, trying to save this stuff if possible. It looks a little bit crusty, so we're gonna see what we find once we get in there. But yeah, just wanna get this completely opened up so that way we can have access and see what the situation is inside of there. So let's grab some grinding wheels, let's get this metal out of the way. Alrighty, you guys, so as luck would have it, where I made my cut, somehow missed this supporting piece here. Now, as I mentioned, you know, where this window opening is here on the quarter, there was nothing really for it to sit on top of. Definitely sits on top of that, welds to the inside. So I'm very glad I didn't accidentally chop that off because I would have had to have repaired that. Now, in terms of the work that we're gonna have to do next, we're just gonna slowly work our way around basically every single place where our rear quarter is going to mount to. So we'll start right here on our what's left of our sail panel. We're going to clean this up. We're going to drill out all of these plug welds, slowly start to pry this, open this up. We'll probably use the air chisel just a little bit here. Won't get too crazy with it, but we just want enough that we can peel this up and get this piece of metal out of there. We have some package tray repairs to do. I mentioned when I was doing the tail panel that, you know, we've got a lot of rust going on here with our deck filler and all around here. But we're gonna have to open this up, put a new piece of metal where that package tray is. You can see what's left of the sail panel here. Again, we're just gonna slowly work our way around here. We'll pry this apart, open it all up, and pull the old stuff back out. Now there's some supporting pieces here for our trunk hinge mechanism. You know, all this stuff mounts to the inner wheelhouse. It also mounts here to our rear quarter. So we're going to clean this up with our wire wheel, find where those plug welds are, drill those out, pop this free so we can loosen those. This little supporting piece that's on the back of this, again, we're going to open this up, take some measurements, make sure that we can duplicate exactly where it was, and put that on our new panel. And then lastly, up here in the front on our door jamb, this one's got me just a little a little worried. I mean, I don't see any rust that's all the way through. It's a little scaly up towards the top. Bottom actually looks like it's in awesome shape, but we're gonna very slowly start working our way around this with our air chisel, start peeling this back and trying to avoid punching a bunch of big ass holes in this. I'd much rather just use the air chisel and slowly start to peel this back and then grind those original spot welds down so we're not dealing with a bunch of holes on that panel. So let's grab our air chisel and let's start peeling this thing open. All right guys, so we got all of our metal work cleaned up and it's pretty much ready to test fit. So let me walk you around this panel in detail because there is a lot going on here, a lot more rust issues that we're gonna have to address here in the next couple videos. But let me give you guys a quick tour here. So let's first start off with the positives. This door jamb, I don't know if I could have done it any better, to be honest with you, with not having to drill any holes in it. It's perfectly straight. No issues, even the lip here survived that. So no rust that we're gonna have to address, no big ass holes underneath of this that we would have definitely had we gone and started to drill out all of those original spot welds. So that's the plus. And I think that's where the good news stops. So we look at the inside of this, you know, first off, now is absolutely the time that we're gonna address the inner and outer wheelhouses. That's gotta be next. I will never have this good of access again, especially if I go to try to fit the quarter on. Doesn't make any sense to do that. Now, what we will do though, we'll get this inner wheelhouse off, test fit the new one where it needs to go, put the quarter over the top of the whole thing just to make sure that the wheelhouse lines up perfectly on that new quarter panel, screw it all into place. That way we have good references, and then we'll pull the quarter back off, install the inner wheelhouse, install the outer wheelhouse, and then have our quarter ready to sit on top of that. You guys saw this right here. This piece is gonna need to be extended down. It actually mounts with a little L channel on top of that outer wheelhouse. We're gonna have to address that. Here on the inside, I think a lot of this is gonna clean up. It's just a little scaly, a little grimy on the inside of this, but we can clean all this up. We'll pour 15 this entire thing to make sure that it does not rust again for me or for anyone else down the road. Here on the inside, and now with the quarter off, there's supposed to be a package tray extension piece here. Okay, now if we look inside, if we look on the inside of the car, you can really see how much of that's gone. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna order this extension piece for both sides. The other side is just as bad, and might as well do them both if they're gonna need to have that much repair done on the inside. Another big one that I wasn't planning on doing, or if I was gonna have to do, you know, I definitely wasn't planning on having to order more parts, but this lower window channel is so far unbelievably gone, and I didn't realize it at first, but it's not only the window channel, but it also fits down into the package tray and then also mounts to the top of the package tray. That's a pretty big deal, guys, and it makes more sense to just order it the right parts. That way it's perfect. I don't have to dick with it, and you know, it would take a while for me to build that part. Just takes a whole lot of that hassle out. Now, you know, up here on these window channels, we will absolutely cut these out. That'll actually give me some more work to do in the meantime while we're waiting for additional parts. But down here, with it being such a bigger piece and a bigger panel, we'll go ahead and order that. As you guys can see, the deck filler is not worth saving at all. It's completely wasted up in here. Along the sides is also really bad. This trunk hinge support piece was able to use that air chisel, break all those off. So this is just floating out here, but it's really, really stiff. Probably gonna have an issue actually fitting the quarter inside of that, because this does sit on the inside of the quarter panel. The quarter squeezes in between these two pieces of metal here, so we probably won't get a good fit on that. But we still got some loose metal on here, some stuff that we need to just cut away, but this at least gives us enough access that we can put that quarter panel onto the car and actually check it for fit. Also here, I'll just show you guys the inside of what this looks like. Again, you can really see the damage there to that package tray. That's totally gone. Good thing is though, you know, all these brackets, these are still intact, which is really nice. They do sell those, but thankfully on my car, I won't have to address either one of those. But again, now is the time, while I have all this access here, especially from the front side over there, to start cutting these out and cleaning those up and getting them ready for an inner wheelhouse to be installed. So with that, an exciting moment. Been looking forward to this for months. Let me grab this quarter panel and let's fit it on the car. All right, guys, well, all I have to say is wow. The fitment on this panel is absolutely fantastic. It makes the car look almost done, even though it's not nowhere any close to even being done. But let me walk you around this panel real quick and I'll show you what we've got here. So let's start up here on our sail panel. The quarter panel tucks up underneath of that. We may need to do a little bit of trimming here on our new quarter panel just to make sure that we've got enough adjustability that we can move this around if we need to, whether we have fitment issues in the front or the back, because obviously anything we do there is either going to push this sail panel up in either direction. Let's move on here to the front. Ooh, okay. Just realized something. Definitely forgot to tuck this bracket underneath the C-pillar here. Very important. If you guys are fitting this quarter panel on the car, don't forget to put that back underneath the panel. You definitely don't want to weld this whole quarter panel on before you realize that, hey, I don't have that supporting piece on there. So make sure that gets tucked back under there. Not a big deal because we're just in a test fit mode right now, just to make sure it all roughly lines up. Here on our door jamb, again, we're going to mess with this a little bit because, you know, the way that it fits onto the door, the gap is not nearly tight enough. Needs to be pulled in. We can mess with this door jamb a little bit. We can pull this quarter really in either direction, but we want to make sure that we tighten this gap up because, you know, we did fit the door first originally, so now we're trying to fit this quarter panel to the door because the door is already fit onto the front fender. But yeah, we've got quite a bit of adjustability here with being able to move this panel, you know, around, shape this however we need to. Of course, we want to make sure that our lines here match up across our quarter, up here on the top of the quarter, that those all line up, match up beautifully to our door. And then also down here on the bottom, just to make sure that this gets sucked in real nice and tight to the body, because we'll still have to do a little bit of metal repair there at the bottom. As we take a look back here, now, you know, as I was installing this, it became evident pretty quickly there's not a ton of flex here with this trunk hinge brace panel here that's just sitting straight up there. That actually goes underneath of the quarter panel. So obviously if you're going to fit this quarter on, make sure that that's actually tucked up underneath, or you will have big issues with your gaps. Because without that tucked in, it also pushed our window channel over. So you can see the evidence here of just not having that under, which is going to pull this quarter panel over, and it's also going to pull our window channel up and over as well. But no, it's really, this is exciting, guys. This is really exciting stuff. This makes the car look so much more complete, and it makes the car look a lot bigger too. I wasn't thinking it would, but it does. So with that, we've got quite a bit of parts that I had to order today, with the package tray, with you know, some miscellaneous pieces that we're gonna have to do on the inside of the car. You know, a lot of the brackets that I showed you guys a moment ago that are just bad, that we need to replace and do a lot of metal work on. So we're gonna be doing that here in a future video, inner and outer wheelhouse install. We'll replace that package tray and some of the other stuff that's needing to be done, but that'll be coming up next. So hopefully it won't take too long to get those parts. They were all in stock through AMD, so it should not take very long at all. Something else that we'll probably do in the meantime, a lot of you guys have been asking what motor and trans combo that I'm gonna do in this car. If you remember back to the Lazarus build, the very short 2-episode build that we did, that car was a special car. It was a one of 259, 383 4-barrel 4-speed cars. I did save the entire engine, transmission, everything to go with that, but it's rough, extremely rough, way rougher than the 318 that came out of this car. So I've had it soaking in diesel, trying to make sure that the cylinders can be freed up, but that motor needs to be blasted off. It's got moss and grass and all sorts of other things growing on top of the intake on that. So it's gonna be a doozy to take that one apart. So I'll probably post that video next. So with that, guys, I think I'm gonna grab a beer. I'm gonna sit back, and I think I'm just gonna admire of how good this quarter panel looks on the car. So if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos as well. We've got a lot of really exciting stuff coming up on this car, on our GTO. We're still waiting on some parts on that. The Camaro is going to get its first start here in the next couple weeks, so a lot of things to stick around for. Take care, guys. We'll see you real soon.